Hi there artists. So, watercolors, alright, let's begin. Let's understand the technique. You need a paper. I like to save paper, so use the back side. With watercolors, we do need a thicker paper, but if you're a beginner, I would suggest use a thinner paper, and it will also give you lots of practice. So it's great to do lots of practice drawings before you move to a fairer paper, which costs a little bit, right? So let's save paper, save the environment. This is my gorgeous watercolor set. It's a Japanese set. I bought it 5-6 years ago and it's lasting very well, and I see it lasting for many years. It comes with a plastic covering which I use as a palette. It gets a bit messy, or you don't have to spend on any fancy palette. Just use any plastic lid, anything that you find, and some water and some tissue paper. 2 brushes, that would be great. Why am I saying use recycled paper? It gives you better control of the brush. Let me give you an example in the case of running. I'm a runner. When I started running about 9-10 years back, my friend who's a coach told me that start running with thin shoes. So I had these thin, like those canvas shoes, those Converse shoes, the Converse. So I started running with the shoes with a very thin sole for a long while, and yes, it was tough. But after that, when I wore my pumpy running shoes, tied the laces and started running on the road or the softer track, it was amazing. So you get what I mean? If you're running with a thin sole, it's tough, you're like ouch, everything, but with the speed, everything comes with the wearing the proper running shoes. So it's good to start with the thin paper, and as you're going along, getting that blending, getting that smooth gradation, then you can move to the thicker, fancier paper. And this is a part of the blending technique in one of my videos. Do check it here. I hope you like this video, and please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.
What we're going to do is we're going to be drawing 2 apples. Started with the first one, and now on my recycled paper, which I like to save a lot, using the clean back side, you can see some printing marks on the other side, but it's alright. It should not be too distracting. I'm starting with a very light pressure of the pencil, keeping in mind that the paper is thin, so we want to hold it with just the right amount of water as well. So this apple is a nice reddish, got a little tinge of white. Let me show you the picture of the apple here. We don't want to work too much. We will take a break from this apple very soon and work on the second apple. A bit of a time lapse just to quickly draw it out here. The second apple, while the one on the left is drying up nicely. For the second apple, we're going to use the 2 brush technique, where we are using paint in one brush, that's the thicker one, and the other one will have water so that we can spread it out. This 2 brush technique is explained in the other watercolor video. The link is here, do check that out. But we'll try as much as possible to use one brush only with water for that blending. That apple, we're going to make sure it has a little sparkle on the left side and it's a bit dark on the right side. It's a great practice to work with two similar objects next to each other on this rough paper, just improving our pressure of the whatever mistake you may have made in the first one. You can apply that and make sure that you're careful with some areas on the second one. We don't want to make them very identical, but yes, applying the watercolor technique in a different way. So with thin paper, we're not able to do that wash, that wet technique. But here with this kind of paper and holding your brush firmly without that wash technique, where you see that wet on wet, here it also gives you a better control of the brush, if you've noticed, with this thin paper. So you're very cautious. And holding it carefully. So keeping in mind that the white is going to be on the left, front left. So I've been sitting outdoors in the lovely space, and it's getting a little too bright for my eyes. The sun is a bit too strong. So I'm going to be moving inside, shifting all my gear, and I will be seeing you inside shortly. And taking a break and seeing that it dries up in the meantime. It's completely dried up. You can see a bit of the lumpy bit of the paper that's coming. We want to be careful. So if it's completely dried up, then you can continue and use less and less water accordingly, because you don't want the paper to tear also if you're using too many layers. We'll bring that brightness to this apple, the reddish tinge. Oops, and I had a little accident. You got to be careful with the grip. So thankfully it didn't go outside. But again, it's a practice drawing on our practice recycled paper. Now the drawing is not complete till we have the darker tone, which it's getting a little wet there. I'll wait for it to dry. In the meantime, how about working on the shadow of the two apples? Because if there's light on the left, so the shadow is going to be on the other side. It's the darkest area is at the base of the apple where it's super dark. So you can use your black as much. We've been using red with a dash of pink earlier. White, we've already leaving that space, and that black. Or you can use a dark brown and black mix if you want to be a little careful also. And making sure the brush is wet away from the shadow when it's going away from the apple. Here as well with the two brush technique. Let's move away. So this drawing is just about done. This painting is done. There's a little bonus section in the end where we're going to give the highlights and stippling. I made a couple of mistakes in the middle, so I'll be putting those on time lapse for you to take a look. The stippling technique, the dots. We're going to be using oil pastels. You see them there on the right side? It's a little section that you can do on your own if you like to, or another choice, let this be the way it is. So there goes the little time lapse. We did the dots. So what I did was the white highlights, I used the white oil pastel. And giving that extra fine tune with the brush, a little bit of wet black and pencil, making it darker where it can be even darker. That takes care of our two apples.